So about Mr. Prakash Bhandary, sir, he was born and raised in western part of Tang district, and basically he is a civil engineer, and he received his bachelor degree in civil engineering from Aligarh University, India, in August 1993. Immediately after graduation, he joined a construction company in Kathmandu and was heavily involved in a road rehabilitation project. After that, he joined Nepal Engineering College as an assistant professor in November 1994 and taught basic civil engineering subjects for nearly 3 years. Then, in November 1997, he joined Ehime University, Japan, as research assistant. So please.
Okay. I will tell about myself. Because it's difficult to say something about others. So my name is Netra Prakash Bhandary. As Ravi said, I was born in Dang some 47 years ago. And I did my schooling in Dang itself, and then I moved to Kathmandu, then did my ISc, then went to India for my civil engineering in bachelor's in civil engineering, and then came back to Nepal, did some construction work for 1 year, and then joined the Nepal Engineering College. I taught basic civil engineering, a few subjects, including soil mechanics and other first year courses in Nepal Engineering College for 3 years, and then moved to Japan in 1997, end of 1997. Then I joined Masters in Civil Engineering at Ehime University in 1998. Then again in 2000 joined the PhD. Then finished everything in 2003 and joined the same university as an assistant professor. And I'm now an associate professor of civil engineering, but we have a bit of complicated faculty name, so I didn't prefer to put that name because I used to be in engineering faculty. Then I moved to another faculty, new faculty. The name of that faculty is Faculty of Collaborative Regional Innovation.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's very complicated name because probably you don't know about it. Japan has started to merge the humanities and the engineering stuff together to work in the society. So it's a new faculty. So I have moved there, and I still work for Graduate School of Science and Engineering, and I'm also affiliated with the Center for Disaster Management and Informatics Research. So this is my affiliation in Ehime University. I teach up until today or this year. I will be teaching mechanics, differential and integral calculus, soil mechanics, etc. So these are the topics that I am involved in, and my family structure is of 4. I have 2 daughters. One is 19 and one is 10. And I don't want to tell you more about the earthquake in Kathmandu Valley, but you will have to see what is there in Kathmandu Valley. So this is Kathmandu, the typical structures in Kathmandu. Okay, so the old buildings, slender buildings, non-engineered buildings, and all those more than 100 years old buildings. You can see this one. See how we built just with 23 or 23 by 23 centimeter column. So these are the structures in Kathmandu, and so we see narrow space because we have been doing this for a long time. we were advocating for earthquake disaster management or earthquake disaster risk reduction for almost 10, 20 years. And NCET is doing it for almost more than 30 years. Okay? So these are the things that we also used to do in different sectors, different things. And this is Kathmandu Valley. Yeah, this is a Google Earth map. And you can see they're surrounded by mountains, and these are the river systems we have. So these river systems have filled the Kathmandu Valley, and we know all about this. And I don't want to tell about all these details. And the problem here in Kathmandu Valley, before the earthquake, we used to tell people, like, the brick masonry was the problem, the RC frame structures was also the problems, and the main problems were hospitals, number of beds, second stage disaster, shelter area, life. So everyone probably in this hall knows about all these things, right? And so far we had these studies, like UNDP study was there in 1992, then JICA studied it for 1 year in 2001 to 2002. They made a good report, but finally probably didn't work. Okay? And finally, the disaster mitigation activities of NCET and international agencies. These are the studies that we have made so far. And following those studies, we planned at Ehime University, a group of our professors and myself, we planned that we should do something in Kathmandu. So we tried to do some work in the field of earthquake disaster and ground information. Like we call that geoinformation database preparation, and then ambient vibration measurement. Then earthquake accelerometer installation and data acquisition. We did this, but our system didn't work. We installed 3 accelerometers in Nepal Engineering College. We tried to install those in Pulchok campus also, and then we did it for NCET as well, but it didn't really work because the machines were not really good. So these were our plans, and we made a plan to work in Nepal in the field of geoinfo database. So these were our plans, and you know all about these because we don't have many borehole data in Kathmandu Valley, but we collected some of them, and the usable data were only about 300. So we made a system so that system could give us like this. If you could draw a line, that would produce a profile of the ground. So we made this system, and we still have that system in our computers. And you can see the green part. It's all clayey material, very soft. So these were the things that we had before the earthquake. And this was a profile of the Kathmandu Valley made by Professor Sakai of Kyoto University. So you can feel, this is estimated one, not real one, but estimated one, based on 3 boreholes. And then what happens in Kathmandu Valley structure? Probably those civil engineers or structural engineers and geotechnical engineers, they know about this because the amplification of the earthquake motion will be higher in the soft material. So this is how it works. And then this is a ball model, water ball model. If you hit the ball, the water will move, but the ball itself doesn't move. So this is how it happens in Kathmandu as well. So this was for the basic understanding of earthquake motion propagation, and this is the frequency resonance. If you're building and if your ground move with the same frequency, there will be resonance. Otherwise, there will be no resonance and no structural damage. So that is how I try to define. So this is if you have both the same frequency, then you will have the resonance. Now that resonance will be the culprit of your structural damage. Okay. So that is how it goes, and I have this very simple model. I have shown this many different occasions, and I think you probably know because I represent. This is inverted pendulum. It doesn't represent the buildings, but somehow it represents because this one is tall building, this one is medium height building, this is short building, and if you stack them 3 at the same time, not all the buildings move at the same time with the same frequency. So this is how it works or reads. Play like play on click on. I want to click this. How to click? So So you see, with one frequency of the ground, the tall building only moves. And if you increase the frequency, the middle one will move faster. It takes some time because there should be some resonance effect. Look at this. So your other two buildings don't move. And even if you make it even faster, then so this is the fastest one. The shorter one will move faster. So this is frequency resonance. We call this frequency resonance. It basically happens in structural, long-range structures or building structures when there is ground movement. And based on this principle, we tried to find out what exactly happened during the GORKHA. And so this is how we do microtremor survey or ambient vibration survey. So these are the data. I'm not going to detail out. And these probably are the sources in Kathmandu, because in most cases, these are the sources. But in Kathmandu, we can take them as source of vehicle movement, window, or industrial machines, etc. In Japan, if you talk about Japan, there will be the train movement or even the sea waves, ocean waves, so these. But in Nepal, we can't really think of all those things. But at least vehicle movement is there, wind is there, and its machines are there. And so how we analyze those data? So this is the procedure. Let me not go into detail of all this. So we just, we have these data. We use these data. These are the real raw data. So these three components, X component, Y component, and the Z component. So three components, we select the prime data and then find out the frequency of each point or building, whatever. And we go for Fourier analysis to do to find out the frequency or period. And we call that predominant frequency or predominant time period. So this is the procedure. And what happens exactly in the Fourier analysis? You have this very complicated wave motion, and you separate these into very fine with the same frequency. Like this has different frequency, this has different frequency, this has different. So which one is the dominant one? So we collect those data and make a graph of them. So this is the dominant Fourier analysis, and we get this for a building or even the ground point. So this we did in 2012 at 176 points all over Kathmandu Valley. So at 1 kilometer grid was there. So we selected different points and we tried to do this for Kathmandu ground. So as a result of the Fourier analysis, we found out and this is the map what we obtained out of this analysis. And this shows that what point of the Kathmandu Valley moves with what frequency during earthquakes. So this was our estimation in 2012. And this work was done by Ubrat, who is in DUDBC now. And you can see here the central Kathmandu has very high period, which means very low frequency. That means if you build tall buildings in this part, there will be very prone to earthquake damage. So these are the data that we found data interpretation, and then out of the same data analysis, we obtained different profiles for different lines. I'm sorry, I prepared this also for about 40 minutes, so I'm just squeezing it for only 20-25 minutes. And these are the things that we find out all these frequency. Out of frequency, we can estimate the depth of the ground. So these are the formula that we use all over the world, and different people have proposed different formula for different places. And for Kathmandu, there was some similarity with these four people. So we selected these formula to estimate the ground depth of Kathmandu Valley. And then, so this is the statistical analysis. We follow that statistical analysis. And ultimately what we did was this formula, D is depth, FR is frequency. So this gives the better results for Kathmandu Valley. And this was the map made for the Kathmandu Valley basement rock. Contour maps in there, and then finally what we got is this is the profile of the basement rock. The 3D image of the basement rock. So this is the deepest point, and these are the deepest point as well. And there is a ridge here somewhere. So this is all filled by the sediment. And after this, so these are all details of sections and profiles and all those things. We just skip. And then what happened in GORKHA earthquake? So these are the tall structures that we lost in the earthquake, and some of the tall apartment buildings were also damaged, heavily damaged. And I used this because it was immediately after the earthquake, so I didn't use the new data. So this is old data. These vertical white lines, they show that the gap of these from one to another line is 5 seconds. So that means about 5 seconds of period of the earthquake motion itself. And these are the same data in borehole data, and out of borehole data, we have to verify. If you measure the microtremor and you analyze the microtremor data, and it obtains some certain depth of the ground, but we have to verify. So we used borehole data to verify those estimated information. And this is soft ground effect. And finally, we did this survey after the earthquake in up to maybe October and September in 2015. So these are the same procedure we followed, and these are the same analysis that we followed. And here you see these green triangles. This is period for ground. And this X and Y, these blue and red, these are for the buildings. X movement and east-west movement, and the north-south movement, and this is for ground. So whenever you find ground point and the building point, like here, very close, that means the resonance is expected to not everywhere, I missed here somewhere. There is this building and this building. There are 3 or 4 buildings that might have gone resonance effect during the earthquake. And one of these, this one is Park View Horizon, and this is, I forgot the name, Oriental or somewhere. This is Oriental probably. So these are the buildings that probably went resonance effect. This one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You didn't put the names. I'm sorry for the names. Probably this is the Park View Horizon, and this is Oriental. So we have some building that probably went resonance effect during the earthquake. And not only the first resonance, there may be second resonance as well. And that second resonance is because here. You see, this one is the first resonance. First period or first frequency, dominant frequency, and this gives you the second dominant frequency. So this might have helped you, help your building go into resonance effect with the ground when there was first movement, first the 5 seconds, 4 seconds to 5 seconds. But here, probably only 1 to 2 seconds. There are different. Bhandary. So here, you see, this part may have the 3 to 5 seconds of cycles, but when you go this side, then probably it's not that long. Maybe within 2 or 3 seconds or 1 to 2 seconds. So that's how the first movement might have had longer period, and the second, the end towards the end movement might have had little shorter period. So that is the reason why we had damage to all those tall buildings in Kathmandu. And so this is how somewhere in these points. So this is the ground point. So here, second, and wherever you have closer frequency or the period, so that might have caused the damage to those tall buildings. And well, this is not a very well-established method, so I have to tell you very frankly. But we use microtremor to evaluate the ground movement and tall buildings or building or structures, whatever, because it gives you the natural frequency and natural time period, and it's not very very hard and fast way to decide that your building might have done a resonance effect during the earthquake. We need lots of things, because not only one cycle may be enough to cause the resonance effect. They might have 2 or 3 cycles or 4 cycles. So we need to check that. So, but here, if you believe these data, whatever we have obtained in Kathmandu Valley, if you believe those, they show that some of the buildings, not all, some of the buildings, 5 or 4 buildings might have gone resonance effect during the earthquake. So we probably need to plan our buildings depending on the frequency, the natural frequency of the ground. And that is the conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Netra, Bhandary sir. If you have any query, comment, suggestion, then you can ask on behalf of our expert. And if you want to put anything, please say of your name and where you work. It will be better to. If anybody, please comment, suggestion. केही छैन हाम्रो
You have some lots of data, and we can see the estimation of how earthquake had happened and what kind of resonance effect was there. And does this data help us to predict what kind of effect of earthquake will happen in the future?
Well, yes, the purpose of doing this survey was to predict the damage scenario, or even predict the possible damage to the buildings. But we did it after the earthquake. We did it before the earthquake as well, but only for the shorter buildings, not tall buildings. And but one reality is that when there was the major shock, the main shock, the ground movement was different. And when there was the major aftershock, and the ground movement was different. So if you take those two differences differently, then you cannot really say that what kind of earthquake will, cause what kind of damage. So that is a bit of difficult for us now. And because the problem is, when there was the GORKHA the main shock, the movement was about 5 seconds, with the cycle of 5 seconds. But when there was the major aftershock, the movement was with the shorter cycles, only 2 seconds, 1 to 2 seconds. So that way, even if we say that that particular point has this much of natural or predominant frequency, that may not really work in case of earthquake. But that depends on the origin of the motion, what was the exact cycle of the earthquake waves. We don't know about that. Without knowing the motion cycles of the earthquakes, we don't predict the ground movement. We cannot do that. But if we have enough data, like 50 to 60 very fine data, we can predict that. And even if we call that attenuation. If we have this point, the earthquake is generated at this point, and the motion comes to Kathmandu Valley, and this much will be the damage, or this much will be the acceleration, PGA, whatever. But at this point, what we can say is, in the middle of this valley, if you build tall buildings, or the buildings that have more than 2 seconds of period, dominant period, they might be damaged during any type of earthquake. So that is what we can just tell at this moment. So it's really, one Japanese team is trying to go for real earthquake motion simulation. But in our case, we don't have enough data, so we cannot do that now.
Actually, why I asked that question was, I did French people who were actually researching on prediction of earthquake in Nepal. And during my meetup, they told me that they have a kind of prediction that there will be earthquake in far western region, especially around Nepalganj area. And they actually asked us if we could build a system that could actually transmit the information of motions in the mid-western area within 5 seconds, so that before the 5 seconds, if we could send the data over here and people could know about it, then they could be aware of that happening. So he told me about that.
NAST is doing that. NAST. So sir is there.
Yeah.
Jiva sir is there. So they have been trying to establish that, because we already have that in Japan. Because based on the primary waves and the secondary waves, we have that system already existing. Like if you have earthquake some 100 kilometers away or 200 kilometers away, then you can predict your earthquake for about 10 seconds. So that system already exists in Japan, and China is also working on that. And they came to Nepal for establishing that system, and probably we have already been establishing all those systems there.
I talked about that.
Okay. And so possibility of earthquake in mid-Nepal or western Nepal is always there, or even mid-Nepal is always there. But what I was just talking about the Kathmandu Valley. So how to predict the damage, or how to predict the earthquake motion in Kathmandu Valley is, at this moment, it's still beyond my capacity or our capacity, because we don't have enough data and we don't have enough measurement system here. The network of the accelerometer is very less, only 6 points here now, and they have increased it to some 8 or 9 now. And the whole Nepal, we have only 21 measurement stations. So we need to make them at least 100, so that we could predict earthquakes properly.
So does it really matter predicting earthquakes only because 10 seconds?
Well, that helps you to go away from the building.
Within a 10 seconds, we cannot do anything.
Yes, you cannot, but you can protect yourself. You can protect yourself. Protecting your head is more important than protecting your structure. Yes.
And if you were presenting or discussing some hazard map local,
psychologically they will change their mind and they will more attentive or more just worried about the probable hazard. So which level of hazard map, extreme level of hazard map or a medium level of hazard map gives the proper attention towards the sociology? Which kind of, there may be hazard map may be a higher probability or with a higher danger, or some hazard map may be with some lower frequency or probability. So which kind of map may be effective? Yeah. First question. And similarly, I just second query to second presenter. Is there any, as you told, some Japanese are doing real earthquake simulation regarding Kathmandu Valley. Just my query is there any laboratory model to study about the amplification or de-amplification of earthquake wave, and same time maybe squeezing of Kathmandu soil like in bowl? Is there any laboratory model or not? My 2 points.
Okay. Proceed.
Thank you very much. So, which level of hazard map? No, I have no answer. After 2011 Tohoku earthquake in Japan, many hazard map is developed in Japanese municipality, and also hazard map tried to be improved, revised, in so that the hazard map can predict the disaster event. But my suggestion in this study is that whatever kind of hazard map is developed, the event that exceeds the assumption of the hazard map can happen. So any kind of assumption can be broken. So my suggestion is that at the same time to distribute the hazard map, so we should ask local residents to imagine the event that exceeds the assumption of the hazard map by adding such kind of questionnaire. So this is my suggestion. Thank you very much.
Okay, the second question about the model. Probably some of you may be aware that JICA was planning, maybe, I don't know if government of Nepal requested or not, but JICA was planning to study yet another, or maybe modify their findings that in 2002. So they were planning to go for modification of the data or results in 2014. So they planned it in 2014, and they were to start the project in 2015 March, but we had earthquake in 15 April, right? So they had to revise their plan. So they revised it, and they did their study, and their study was also based on our study as well. And what they did was, they didn't go for boreholes. They only went for the microtremor survey, but different from ours. We went for single point, they went for several points. They call this array survey. So based on that survey, they have somehow predicted the ground structure. And now using that ground structure, they are trying to go for modeling. Modeling in the sense, ground model is already there. So they will simulate the GORKHA earthquake in the ground, and that is the second phase of the project. And that's one part of the SATREX project from the government of Japan, and the Tokyo University is involved, and DMG is working on that. I don't know how much it has gone, but they are working, and most probably within 2 or 3 years they will have a better model. Let's expect it will be better model. So there is no lab work, because it is a bit scientific study, more than engineering, it's scientific. So they are not, they are trying to do some estimations, not through the experiments. And there is no soil testing as well. And soil testing I'm doing a little bit for my use.
Some experts are saying during the outbreak, 2015 GORKHA outbreak, wave is amplifying. Some is saying the everything is amplifying, and some people are still saying de-amplification of the magnitude. So it's a
No.
controversial.
No. There is those who say that there is de-amplification. That is probably lack of understanding, because amplification of the waves is always there in sediment like Kathmandu. The problem is you don't have very high acceleration, and when you move this table very fast, then there will be acceleration. But if you move it slowly, there will be no effect. So the amplification is very high. The displacement is very high. Velocity is very high. Only the problem is acceleration. Acceleration is very less. It's about 180. So if you move something like this, it doesn't move with a very high acceleration. But if you move it like this, then it will be high acceleration. So that is the major effect that we had in Kathmandu. That means some of the scientists are saying that it is the base isolation system in Kathmandu as a whole. That means your valley is moving like this. It's not like earthquake effect. It's like something moving with a different force.
So it does affect tall building. If we had a rock in Kathmandu, would that tall building have been safe?
Yes, we expect that, because that was my finding. If you go outer in the outskirts of the Kathmandu Valley, the period is very short. And if you build tall buildings, those will be safer.
And the shorter building on the rock?
Yes, if you build shorter buildings in the outside of the valley, then that will be dangerous. So this is what we say, because if you believe resonance effect, then that will be the finding. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Netra Bhandary, he pointed at me regarding this work that NAST is carrying out. So I thought that I have to explain a bit, so I am here. Now, somebody asked about, this prediction of the earthquake, and people have been saying that in the western Nepal, there is likely to be a elephant size, earthquake occurring very soon. That is based on the fact that in 1505, when Ratnamalla was ruling in Nepal, there was an earthquake in the west, right? After that, now it is 512 years. No earthquake has occurred in that area. So, seismologists, they have been saying that there is bound to be a mega size earthquake in that particular area, and the American professor of the University of Buffalo, he also, Mr. Willem, he also said that there is a likelihood of a high magnitude earthquake, and then he was saying that it may be of the tune of 8.7 in Richter scale. That is what he said. And India also, and the other day I was looking at the Indian television, and person no lesser than Professor Santosh Sharma, who is the CEO of NIDM, National Institute of Disaster Management of India. He said that if that earthquake occurs, then 90% of the buildings may fall in Delhi. So would be the consequence. So disasters will be the consequence of the earthquake. That is what he said. So because that earthquake has not occurred since 1505. 1505 is the time, 55 years ahead of that Tsuyoshi Mandir in Kathmandu. That tall Tsuyoshi Mandir, it was built in 1516. So 55 years before the construction of that particular Tsuyoshi Mandir, the earthquake had occurred. Right? After that it has not occurred, so people are saying that. So that is what I have to say with respect to this likelihood of earthquake occurring in the western part of Nepal. And so far as the prediction of the earthquake is concerned, like earthquake, when it occurs, there are series of waves: P wave, S wave, then we have long wave. We should have told it heat wave, but because it was discovered by a person by the name of Mr. Long, so the name of the wave, long wave.
and Rayleigh waves, right? Now, when the P wave occurs, P wave is not detrimental, it is not damaging. And then the S wave, you know, its velocity is slightly slower, so the S wave, secondary wave, it you know, comes after some time, it gives some time, okay? So if the epicenter is far off, then we may have about 22 seconds, and if it is very nearby, then about 14 seconds. Now somebody very rightly said that what we can do in 14 seconds. Now given that, you know, we have low density buildings, you know, our buildings are 2-story, 3-story, apart from those, you know, apartments which are 17-story, or you can have multi-story buildings, you know, touching the sky. So that is a different thing. But because our buildings are not very high, so if you have 20 seconds time, you can still come down. Or as Netra said very, you know, rightly, that you can at least, you know, cover your head, so that even if the building falls down, then there is less likelihood of fatality. You may be injured, all right, but you may not, you know, come off. Okay. So now this arrangement we have made with the Chinese company, and they came, and then they wanted to. Their technology is something like this. They have sensors. Those sensors will be put at 20 kilometers center to center throughout the length and breadth of the building, right from Kali to Michi. So that will mean that we have to erect 320 you know, sensors. So far we have only, you know, established 40 you know, sensors. So you may ask why, given the fact that we have to install 320 sensors, why only 1/8 or only 12% of the sensors have been you know, installed here in Nepal. Now you see, for the installation of the sensors, we have to receive support from different institutions. We went and then virtually prayed for support from Nepal Telecommunication Corporation, but then they did not, you know, kind of extend out the support. We wanted to put our sensors in the places that they have their, you know, different centers and all that. So we had to, you know, have a dialogue with NGOs, schools and all that, and that took a long time. That is one. The other thing is that the government also, you know, during the earthquake, everybody was scared and all that. They said, oh yes, we should have it early warning system, if at all there is one. Now, you know, people seem to have forgotten that. Now you go and talk to the government officials, they are not, you know, very concerned about speedy installation of the sensors. Okay, so what happens? We receive sensors from China, and then they remain in the custom department. Then we don't give the permission. So you know, now for 30 of the sensors, they are just lying in the custom department because we haven't been able to get the permission for very many days. And just a few days back, we have got the permission. Now we will bring them. And then in Nepal, you know, we have so many holidays and births and all that. So all these, they have been delaying the installation of those sensors. Once the 320 sensors are installed, then you know, we are going to feed that information through mobile, through TV, through FMs and all that. So people will get information before about 22 to 12 seconds, depending upon where you are from the epicenter of the earthquake. So if that happens, then you get some time, and then you see the fatality may be lesser. So this is the kind of scenario that we are at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Gura sir. At present he is Vice Chancellor of NAT, and he is NEA past president. Thank you, everybody. And now I would like to request our president to put our NEA to our experts. Please, Dr. Hatori, come forward.
You will remember that you were here some in Nepal Engineers Association.
give him a hand. Likewise, I would like to request our Vice President to spoken about our NEA side. So now I would like to request Netra Bhandary sir, please.
Thank you.
Now, Master sir, please. Leave spoken about. Thank you, Aradhan sir, thank you, Master sir, thank you, Netra sir, thank you, Dr. Hatori. So, now we are at the end of program. Now I would like to give to you once more. If many of us are already been registered with NEA, if somebody has not registered, then I would like to request you to be a member of our Nepal Association. And the today's live will be uploaded in our NEA website, so you can go through it. And we are conducting NEA talk program every Friday, so I would like to request you to come every Friday. And I just want to thank Bhandary. Bhandary is providing us free internet for this program. And thank you everybody for your valuable time. Thank you Mandip, who has managed our exports time to be here. And thank you Jivraj sir, thank you Ishwar sir, thank you Dilip sir, thank you everybody. And now I would like to request our President Bhandary sir for his concluding remarks. And once again, thank you everybody. I want to say goodbye for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Raviji. Thank you, Raviji. Professor Dr. Hatori, Dr. Netra Bhandary, and we are privileged with the presence of NASC VC, Professor Jivraj Pokhel, our Vice President and Executive Members of Nepal Engineers Association, former Vice President, General Secretaries and other Executive Members of Nepal Engineers Association. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no engineer friends. Indeed, you all know Nepal Engineers Association is organizing this Friday talk program since long ago, 13 years ago. But since last 30th Executive Committee took this program to the height, and now we are maintaining that. And we are organizing every Friday, and today especially, it was very interesting Friday because there are two regions. We have very interesting subjects from the two learned speakers, and the presence of our audience. Therefore, we are very happy, and I would like to thank you all. And the subject matter was of very much interest of the earthquake and then residents effect in Kathmandu. And then especially the one subject was new for us, specifically social psychology by Professor Dr. Hatori. And then I think this subject is relevant not only for the disaster, but for the bigger projects launched, bigger mega projects launched in all parts of Nepal. Nepal is planning a lot of new projects. And how the local people will behave that, how they will conceive that, how they think, how they expect, and that anxiety, that type of things. I think from this lecture, this will be very, very interesting in this new area in Nepal, and I hope there will be a lot of interest among the engineers for this subject. Thank you, Dr. Hatori. And before concluding this talk program, I want to inform you, Nepal Engineers Association with and
we Robotics Association Nepal and Flying Lab Nepal, we have launched a program, Drones as a Service competition. This is a new competition. Drone is a turning point in the development and technology now, and that will serve in many ways in engineering areas also, so that the new innovative minds will have a lot of new ideas, and Engineers Association with 3 other organizations who want to bring that ideas. And there is a award also of about $8,000 award for the winners. And not only that, after that, the winner will be mentored here in Nepal Engineers Association. He will be given here a place in the incubation center, and there will be a lot of support for him. And then I think this area, and that there is a time for 15th of March, there is a this deadline for the submission of the proposal. So I request all of you here, if you have any friends, you yourself or other, who want to take part in this event. And then for the media also, I request all the media. And then I think to all of our members in chapters and regional chapters and engineer members who are, I think, who are now watching us in the YouTube live now. I request all of them to take part in this competition. And there are many other events coming in from Nepal Engineers Association. With this note, I thank you all, and I conclude this talk program today here. Thank you.